Hello everyone, my name is Dead Gambit and welcome back to my inventory tutorial series. Now in this video, I am only going to go over the inventory saving our inventory. So every time we leave, our inventory saves. When we come back, our inventory loads up. Now, as I said in my previous videos, this is by Fred. And it's a relatively simple data store. It's not too much rocket science behind it, so it should be pretty easy to follow along with. And this video should be relatively short because I'm only going over the inventory save. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to go into our server script service and insert a server script. And let's call it, what are we going to name it? Let's just call it inventory DS. That's short for data store. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a reference to the actual Roblox Datastore. And it'll be local DS equals game get service data store service colon we'll do get data store, and this is where you name the data store, and you can name it anything you want. I would recommend you name it to something relating to your game, that way, you know, to make it easy on yourself. So for in my case, I'm going to name it tutorial, because this is a tutorial that I'm doing. And then the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to make the function for when the player joins, it will load the data if the player has any at all. So we'll do game.players.player added connect function player, and just to be safe, I'm going to add a wait function, and I'm going to draw reference to the player's user ID. It'll be local key equals ID dash player.user ID. Oops. Now in the past, I remember it used to be, instead of using the ID, it was the player's name. The problem with that is, you know, we have the ability to change our Roblox usernames. So if you did that and you were on a game where the data store was saving it based on your character's name, you know, you would lose all that data. I remember I had that happen to me when I was playing. It was a very old sword art game by Abstract Alex, when his name was, I believe it was Rikirio at the time. It was the Alfheim game, or Alflahem. I really don't know how to pronounce it. I forgot. It was the one with the fairies where you had wings. I remember I changed my name and I lost all that data the same day because it was using the name. And it was pretty sad. So, you know, just to be on the safe side, you know, always use the user ID, because regardless of the person changing their character name, the user ID remains the same regardless, unless they are using an alt, obviously. So anyways, let's go to the next function, which will be a pcall function. And what this does is, this is going to be able to bring in any information from our data store and put it into our character. So we'll make a reference to the item. So it'll be items equals ds and get a sync key. So we are now looking for items that were saved with inside of our data store pertaining to our user ID. So each user has their own little spot in the data store, and we're looking at it to make sure that they have the items that we're looking for. And now we'll do if items then, and this is the equivalent of saying if items, oops, let me go back here. This is equivalent to saying if items is not equal nil. So, but in this case, we don't really have to put that in. That's just if you want to, that's just if you like, if you're working on a team, it's best to say if not nil. That way everyone knows what you're talking about. But in this case, you know, we can just say if items. And then we'll do for I, V, and pairs, items, and do. And we'll make another reference, local item equals game dot server storage find first child v true. So with this for loop, what we're doing is we are looking for all of our items within our data store, and if we find anything, we're going to match it up with whatever items that are stored within this folder here. And if the items do match up, well, then we're going to clone it into our inventory in this next line here. So we'll do if item then, I was gonna add a wait, but we don't need one. It could be item clone, and then we put the clone's parent to our inventory. Now our inventory was created on this little thing here. Now what you could do is you could actually, we can get rid of this player joined, and we can actually create the inventory folder inside of our data store here. So, you know, instead of saying player, we'll do player. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. So now we only have so every time the player joins, and only when the player joins, it creates one folder for our inventory. And to be on the safe side, we can do wait, we can add a wait for child. Inventory. So now when the player joins in the data store, it creates a folder, names it inventory, sets it to the player, or parents it to the player. And then now, after we look into our data store, make sure that we have the items inside of our data store match up with the ones that is in our server storage. We can throw those items, or the clone of those items, into our inventory. And the next thing we're going to do is make the function for when the player leaves. We'll do game.players.player removing connect function player. Now in this function, when the player leaves, that's when the inventory is going to store everything that is in our physical folder and throw it into our data store. So we'll do, again, local key equals ID player.user ID. Oops, didn't mean to go out. And then we'll do the pcall function again. Only this time, we're gonna make a table. So we're gonna reference that table. It'll be local items to save. And we'll make a blank table. We'll have another for loop for I, v in pairs. Oops. In pairs. Player dot inventory get children do if v, then table dot insert items to save v dot name. So basically what I just did here was I created an empty table and I created a for loop that loops through our inventory that's being made up here, that's been created. I look through that folder and I collect all the children. That's what V stands for. V will be the children of our folder. And then I insert the name of those objects into the table. So I'm not actually storing the physical object, I'm storing their names. And at the end of it, I'll do Datastore set async. We're putting in the player's user ID and the table. So now the data store is saving the table, which is collecting all the names of the items that I have. So that's it for the script. So go ahead, save, and then publish. And then I'm gonna go ahead over to the actual game and I'm gonna select the shop, collect the stuff, leave, and then join again, and everything should be loaded. So I will go over and do that right now. Okay. Alright, so now I'm loaded in. You can see, I'm going to get rid of the chat box there. But as you can see, our inventory has a completely clean slate. There is nothing inside of it. I'm going to go over to my shop. I have my epic armor. And I have my classic sword. So that's good. So now I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to join again. Now I should, if everything worked, be able to see those same items that I collected in my inventory. And there they are. I have saved in my inventory, and now I can still click on them. I can equip them, put on my armor. There's a small delay there. I think I'm a little bit laggy, but nonetheless, it does work. And I can, I can keep doing it, and I can have an entire inventory filled with items. Now, I'm going to jump back over to the studio and I'm going to show you how you can reset the data for everyone. Okay, whoops. There we go. Alright, so back into the inventory Datastore script. You want to be able to delete everybody's data. Like, let's say for instance, you had an open test, a beta or an alpha, alright, just before the game was released. And you were finished with that, but you don't want your testers to still have all the stuff that they've gotten through that testing phase, you know, because you're just opening your game fresh and new, and you don't want those testers to have that huge of an advantage over new players. Simple. So let's go ahead and let's do a number value. We'll call it local we'll call it save. Local save, and we'll do 1.0. This will be local save 1.0. Now what you do is you can add it onto our little data store here. So now, not only will it be looking for the name of our tutorial, or the name of our data store, but it will also be looking for the this number value right here. And we could keep changing it as we go along. So now that I've put that in, I'm going to save. Then I'm going to hop over into the game. Now, when I load in, I should start with nothing. And that is because I put in, I had just put in that new parameter within the data store. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the game. Okay, so here's my clean slate. I actually had to go back and change it again because I did test this before I was recording, so I had to do a completely different save value. But anyways, so I'm gonna click on my my shop here. Here it is. I have my epic armor. So if I were to join again, it should still be there. Yep, so there's our stuff still there. Now, if I go back into my inventory script, and let's say I had it on 1.1, but let's say I put it on 1.2, and then I save and publish. There I go. Once again, I have a clean slate, so I can just go over and get my stuff from the shop again. Alright, and that is it for this tutorial. Okay, so before I end the video here, there's one thing I forgot to go over. go ahead and open up your GUI, the manager script. So if you've watched the last episode, you'll know that you'll probably notice that if you reset yourself, the GUI buttons that are supposed to load up inside of the inventory stop functioning properly, or you can't really equip. Like it said, you press the equip button but nothing happens. That's actually a problem due on my part. What I forgot to do is I forgot to copy and paste these last two lines in our child added function and put them in here. Because in the last script, or the last tutorial, we put in a new parameter that was looking for the item type. And the reason why it probably wasn't loading the stuff properly or allowing you to equip it was because we did not have this item type properly set within our inventory. So now, if I go ahead and play test it, and because I am using the inventory data store, I should already have my stuff in store. Yep, I do. So now initially I was always able to equip it, but when you reset, it should work regardless. Yep. So just remember, go back to the manager script, copy these two lines here, and paste it into there, and that way you won't have that issue. I apologize if this was an inconvenience to you. I had forgotten to include that within our for loop up here, because as I was saying in the previous videos, this only calls when we add an object into our inventory. If we already had the object in the inventory, it's not going to do anything. It's in this script here that it handles everything that's already in there. So that's just something to change, to make sure that you have, and that is going to end this tutorial here. If you enjoyed the tutorial, please leave a like and subscribe, as it does help the channel. And if you're already subscribed, make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll get updated on when I release a new video and whatnot. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment them down below. I will try to help you if you are struggling in any way. Just make sure that, be very specific. As I said in my last video, I do not like it when I say this does not work. I will not respond to it because you are not... It's basically telling me that you really don't care and you're not willing to take out the time to tell me exactly what you're having issues with. So why should I take out the time to help you? It's basically, it's basically like that. So just try to be as specific as you can. It doesn't have to be word for word. But if you follow along, if you play test when I play test, that is a good thing to do, because you'll be able to, I'll be able to know like where exactly the issue is, and I'll be able to help you out. But if you're just gonna say this doesn't work, I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna acknowledge that. It's not giving me enough information to help you. So anyways, thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! By the way, guys, like I said, this was made from a friend of mine. His name is actually Dead Drops on Roblox, so go ahead and give him a follow. He's a very good person. He's helped me out with a lot of my stuff, and I'm very grateful for it. So, you know, go ahead and give him a follow. Also, go ahead and join his group, Dead R Studios. It's he makes a lot of games there, as well as well, he didn't put it in the group, but one of his games is Melee Smash. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the description below, but that's a really good game to check out. And feel free to also join the Discord server. The group is not as active as the Discord server. A lot of people in there, a lot of different people you can meet, so you know, just go ahead and check it out, guys.